and like even in bed this morning, I was like, oh wow, I don't have a like network. Like I'm not really kind of tuned into the just kind of the culture of what's going on. Okay. So and now we're recording. All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, the 16th of June of 2023. And I am here with the amazing Jessica Addison. And today we're going to talk about stress and anxiety when it comes to sex. And so, yeah, that's a big topic. Oh, Sherian is coming in. Okay. All right. As soon as she comes, or as soon as she gets on the screen, I'm gonna have to edit this out. So with that, good morning, Sherian.
Good morning.
I just got finished saying our topic for today is stress, anxiety, and sex, and how they go together, hinder each other, stop each other, and all that jazz. All right, so tell us how you're doing, and then tell us how do you help couples when stress and anxiety is the main culprit keeping them from having sex with that.
Okay, I'm doing good. And
I feel like I threw you in the deep end. You like, and am I awake yet? Okay.
Right.
All
really.
Right. Let's get those neutrons firing.
Okay. So I guess the first step would be understanding what the stress is and the anxiety is.
Yeah.
And then from there, managing those things that might be causing the stress and anxiety, especially if it's not directly related to sex.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people think it's related to sex, but it's really not related to sex. You just stressed out about work. You haven't properly transitioned from a lot of things that just happen in your life. And then what happens is you don't even have time to think about sex or get in the mood for sex. So you think you stressed about sex, but you're not really stressed about sex. You just stressed about everything else that's happening in your life. Yeah. Then you get some people that you're stressed about sex, and then you have to start doing more of a assessment to see what their relationship is with sex in general. Has it been trauma? Is it religion? Is it I had a baby? Is it I don't feel good about my body? Which
I had 7 abortions, like all kind of things.
Yeah, right. And so then understanding that helps us come up with a plan with how we're going to help you overcome those obstacles.
All right. Good job, Sherian. Excellent answer. All right, Jessica Addison, what would you like to add to the conversation? Dealing with couples where stress and anxiety seems to be the culprit that's keeping them from having sex.
I have a lot of clients who still try to push through and have sex, even if they have stress and anxiety. It's not working. And they think it's something within them or something with their sexual performance. But a lot of times I tell patients that you're not smarter than your body. And what I mean by that is...
Ooh, excellent comment. Girl, I'm going to steal that one from you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Your body fatigue. Your body knows about the day that you had before you came into the bedroom or wherever you had sex at. So you try... It's not going to connect. The mind is not going to connect. So I tell them, give yourself grace. Give yourself time to wind down. It's not a thing that you need X, Y, and Z before you get in the mood or you're not in the mood. Everybody's different.
Yeah. I also, for those people who are so like stressed and high tension and they got 1,000 things to do on their things to do list, which most working adults do have 1,000 things on their list. With that, I got to remember to call the doctor for my mom. I got to remember to call the doctor for my kid. I got to remember to sign up for this. I got to remember to do this. I got to it is hard to transition from that to sex or being your sexy self. And so many times for my women in particularly, because I think stress affects them a little bit more differently than men with that, than a lot of men. I won't say all men, because I definitely do have some male clients on my caseload that stress is affecting them. But what I tell them is they have to find some time to be themselves before they can transition into like their sexy self with that, and figure out what that looks like. And so, and then making sure you incorporate that into your world. And so sometimes sometimes we got to go all the way back to like, okay, let's talk about what are your priorities for your life with that. You know, is it most important for you to be head of the PTA, or for you to have a relationship that feels really good? Like what are your priorities with that? Because some of these PTAs, like one of my best friends was like, I was like, girl, that's your part-time job. And she was like, it really is. And so sometimes we just have to take a step back and say, okay, what's driving all of this? And does this line up for really what I need in my life, what I want in my life, what are the end game, what are the priorities are? So making sure you have that time. And then the different things for it varies for different women. So you probably need to sit down and figure out, okay, what do I need? And we call this bridges to desire. What do I need to do, say, think, be, whatever, to transition into a space where I can be available for sex, where I can be ready for sex? So some of y'all, that might be meditation, a hot shower. I remember one of my clients a long time ago, she was like, I just need to be able to play on Facebook for 20 minutes. If you can give me 20 minutes to play on Facebook and just like, you know, just kind of disconnect from the world for a little while, then I can be available for you with that. And I think there will come a time in, I think, all of our lives where we are so busy and so much is going on. We're trying to get the promotion at work, or we just got the promotion at work and it's kicking our butt. Our parents need us and our kids need us. And we would like to, like, you know, eat, sleep 8 hours right? With that, you know, enjoy a church service or a concert or something. And it's really, really hard. And so those are the times where you're going to have to be really, really intentional, because the stress will like take you down and take you out. And so, and for men, because a lot of women will identify with being able to have a good conversation as a stress reliever, being able to kind of get it all off their chest and talk to somebody else. For men under stress, they usually just kind of close down. And so their partner doesn't know what's going on. They may not tell them the magnitude of the stress that they're under at work, or maybe with finances, or maybe with anything else. And they really would just kind of shut down, and their partners just left. And so for those men out there, please don't shut down. Or if you're gonna shut down, you gotta say, hey, I know you see me shutting down. Give me however much time you need, and I'll be back. Because if we know what's going on, we can handle it, right? And tell people, it's almost kind of like, if I know I got to work for 8 hours, I'm good. I'm good. I'm ready to work for the whole 8 hours. But if I go to work expecting to work for 8 hours and now I got to work for 12, oh wait, we got problems. I was trying to be out of here after 8. But if I know I had to work 12 at the beginning of the day, you get your mind right. If you know what to expect, usually we're good and we can make it. It's when we don't know what to expect, we don't know what's happening, it will leave our partners floundering and hurt the relationship more than help with that. Okay. All right. Let's talk about anxiety. When people have literal anxiety about a sexual encounter. All right, Sharon, what advice do you have for them then? And while you're talking, I'm actually going to get up and reach for one of my books, because that's a line in my books that's perfect for today. But Sherry, I want you talking about that, and when people has anxiety, like, I'm scared to reach out and touch my partner. I'm scared to initiate sex with my partner. I'm scared to whatever with my partner. Start talking about that, please, ma'am.
Okay, so for me, I'm going to probably link it up to an experience or an idea that you have about sex. Mm-hmm. And we sort of work through that underlying issue that's presenting through sex. So then it becomes, is that a symptom of a different issue? Or is the issue really like, I don't want to initiate? So that the problem or the symptom. And so being able to understand that will help us move forward. And I guess the advice I would have is rediscovery. So if it was a point in time where initiation wasn't a problem,
right,
and a point in time where some of these things weren't a problem, I'm not going to tell you to go back to that time, but just sort of figure out maybe what was different in your life. What were you doing? What were you not doing? Were you younger? Were you smaller? Were you happier? Were you less stressed? And sometimes it's just about working through it, small little step. So helping them sometimes, especially when it's, because sometimes you'll get people who have sexual anxieties that come to therapy as an individual. It might be so simple, but want to straighten this out before they get into a relationship.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. And so sometimes for those people, it can be challenging on how to practice this, because they're like, well, I don't really have a practicing partner. So then it becomes more of a psycho-educational thing, and more of a real deeper work. And then for people who have a partner, you can kind of have a practicing partner to sort of like exposure therapy in a way.
Yeah.
Well, and then you can understand what the goals are. Is the big goal for you to initiate? So if the big goal is for you to initiate, what's going to be the small little tick marks in between that's going to help you reach that goal? Right? So do you just start off one day with vocalizing, I would really like to initiate, but it's challenging for me. And then you start thinking about, if I could initiate, what would I be doing first? So it's just about the tick mark. So if the big goal is initiating, it has to be some step in place to get you there.
Right. Excellent. Excellent. All right, Jessica Addison, what would you like to add, my dear?
I've had clients where they want to initiate, and like once it gets started, they're fine. But it's just they don't have the confidence of being well received. Am I doing it enough? Am I doing it as well as my partner? And it's that comparison thing that comes into play. Even if their partner says you're fine, you're great, they still have to accept it within themselves. So I would say you have to get your feet wet a little bit. You have to, if you want something different, you have to do something different. And that trial and error period, you have to kind of embrace it and like work it in. You never know how you are in it. So it's just like staring that fear in the face, and it becomes less scarier when you try it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's so on point. And so, because one thing I want to add to what both of you guys said is having a conversation with your partner. Because I've had clients where one partner is scared to initiate and the other partner is like, there's no way I'm going to turn you down for sex. Like, I've been asking you to ask me for sex because I don't want to be the one only initiating all the time. And so then we got to say, okay, well, where is this fear coming from? Okay, well, it's coming from a previous relationship, or I just kind of have anxiety about everything in general. And so have the conversation with your partner. And if y'all are trying to build the skill of one person initiating, then I think 9 times out of 10, I'm trying to think like my history and cases and everything, 9 times out of 10, the other partner is going to be okay. Like, I understand you trying to build a skill like with that, and I'm okay because I've been wanting this. And so make sure you have that conversation and you're reality testing and you're not just stuck in your head. And so a lot of our clients just get stuck in their head. And so our work is usually to get them out of the head. And just like you said, Sherry, and start verbalizing this. And how do you need to verbalize it? So do you need to say, hey, can we have some cookies and milk tonight? Do you need to say, hey, I'm open for a party as soon as you get that child in the bed? Like what does that need to look like or sound like for you? And you and your partner can come up with that. Do we need to say pineapples? Like, what do we need to say if you can't say, hey, I want you for sex tonight, with that to break down those barriers? So, okay. All right. I want to go ahead. Go. No.
Okay.
Go.
So what I've been learning is sometimes it's not about the sexual anxiety. Sometimes it's about kink. Sometimes it's, I want to be in a submissive role. And the anxiety is not, I have anxiety about initiating. I have anxiety about disclosing this kink to my partner.
Yeah.
And so I just don't do nothing.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know how they're going to view me when they know that I'm into a particular kink and I want to be dominated and I want to be controlled. And then I've been learning that can cause sexual anxiety because I have a whole ass kink that I'm not discussing.
Right.
And then I've been learning that in some relationships where people make a lot of decisions at work, a lot of decisions in life, I don't want to make a decision about sex.
That's true. That's very, very true.
But I don't want to think about it. I don't want to initiate it. I'm just gonna let you take the lead, and I'm good with that because I've been taking the lead all day, and I don't want to think about it. Just kiss me, and we good.
Right. Right. That's very, very true. And so, but these things y'all gotta discuss it in the relationship. Like this is where I am right now. This is what I'm wanting right now. This is what I need right now, and understand that's gonna change over time. So what worked for us 5 years ago might not be working for us today. What's working for us today is probably not going to be working for us in 10 years. And so making sure we're continuing to have the conversation, like desire will change over time with that. It'll go up, down, up, down, up, down. And like you said, because I've known people who've changed professions and their personalities have changed a little bit because of that new profession, especially like if you go from being a tech person to a police officer, like that's going to be a change in personality, right? Because now you're on the forefront. Now you got to run into the fire or run into the building, run into the gunfire, as opposed to be in your basement not talking at all. So the level and the ability and what you have to give to your partner may change with that. So, okay, I want to read this line from this book because sometimes even when you are stressed, because Jessica, you were saying earlier, like stressed and push through, and then sometimes you can't, like you're trying to push through, you're trying to be with your partner and you're just not. It's just like, oh, babe, I'm sorry. Like I really just can't get there for you today. All right. So I love just this line. It says, the partners who can laugh or shrug off these experiences and get together at a later time when they are both awake, which means full of energy, aware, like I can like concentrate and think about you, desirous, involved, and responsive, they have the right attitude to continue to have a great sex life with that. But I think we forget about all those components: awake, aware, desirous, involved, and I can be responsive. And sometimes you can't do that when you're highly stressed. And so anything that you can add, a transition time, meditation, just silence, or just kind of a regrouping to, okay, let me focus on my relationship now. Let me focus on my family now. Let me focus on this now and put the stuff down with that. All right, what else are y'all thinking about?
I was thinking about, I think a lot of stress and anxiety comes from, if I don't do this, then what is my partner going to think of me?
Yep.
Yeah.
You think I don't desire them.
Yeah.
They beg for more time, scheduled time, but curveball just got thrown at me at work, or someone just cut me off and I need to wind down and calm down. Make our appointment that we set or we work on in therapy today.
Yeah.
Communication, like you said, is the best policy. And if you have a new partner, then be the key. Understanding.
Right. And it's so funny how anxiety can work is like my men particularly will have said something. I've heard this so many times where especially my older men or even my younger men, if they're not sure what their dick is gonna do, like I don't know. So they'll say, well, I don't want to disappoint her by not being able to perform. So I'm just gonna act like sex don't exist at all with that. And so it's like, oh, okay. So, and when I say it back to them, okay, so you didn't want to hurt her feelings. So what you decided to do was just ignore all her sexual advances. And so now she's feeling completely rejected in the relationship because you didn't want to hurt her feelings and you didn't want her to feel rejected. And then when they hear it, they're like, oh yeah, that don't make sense with that. It doesn't make sense. And so I'm going to implore you men, if anybody hears this video, is you got to have those conversations. Like you got to say, Hey, babe, look, I know, because a lot of women, we do expect that a man should be able to get his dick hard instantly every time, all the time with that. And I think every man will tell you, I don't have that much control over my dick. I don't. It's probably 2% of men who have excellent control over their dick, and they have probably been practicing that for the last 10 years to get that much control. But most men, they don't. And if they're having any health problems, then they have even less control than they ever had before. So high blood pressure and being on high blood pressure medication is going to give you problems with your dick. Diabetes is going to give you problems with your dick, and a myriad of other health problems will. Recently, we've been talking about Peyronie's disease and how that affects men sexually. Peyronie's disease is very painful. And so once men get that, they just will shut down because they don't know what to say. And if the doctor can't help them, and many times the doctors can't, with Peyronie's disease, they just feel stuck and lost. And so and get hopeless with that. So if that's you out there are some things that we can do with Peyronie's disease and you still being sexual with your partner with that. Because a lot of men, once they get Peyronie's disease, they shut it all down. Like they shut it all down, all sexuality. And their partners are usually left like, so I'm supposed to have, I can't even have a kiss for the rest of my life. Like, did I get no sexual content for the rest of my life with this? And so it can really be hard on the relationship. Okay, what's coming up for you guys with stress and anxiety? Yeah.
I just wanted to say a little bit about what Jessica was saying. And
Please.
I do think that partners get like that and start to worry about what their partner would think. Yeah. And especially if the partner sometimes has made them not have a space to be uncomfortable in moments or have a space to say no. So then that just brings up a question I always ask a lot of my clients: when is no okay?
Yeah.
When is no not gonna cause you rejection? When is no not gonna make you feel like there's something wrong with you? Because it's not always a no. So when is no ever okay? When is saying no okay?
Yeah.
And then you start branching off into, now this is a chore because I can't say no.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. That's a good point. And to go even deeper on that, how to say no in a way in which it doesn't feel like rejection.
Right.
Like there's definitely a no that will shut anybody down and make you feel rejected, you know? And there's also a way to say no that the person's like, oh, okay, yeah, well, let me know, with that. And so I try to tell my clients, if you're going to say no, that's fine. Please give the person a reason. And if you could do some affirming in that as well, and then give them a rain check. And then you got to show up for the rain check, So just simple, babe, I really want to, but I just worked 16 hours and I ain't got it in me. And if I lay down anywhere, I'm going to fall asleep on you. And I don't want to do that. But I love you. And I want to be engaged with you. So Saturday morning, after 10 a.m., I got your back with that.
You know what, Natalie? I think that works when a woman says that to a man. But when a man says that to a woman, their meter goes up and they like, oh, but he done did this 2 times in 2 months.
Yeah.
Something must be wrong, because it's this misconception out there that if sex is available, a man is not gonna say no.
Yeah.
That is true. And I think we, the 3 of us in this conversation right now, need to start to address that misconception, because it's out there, and because we treat men in general in our culture like you're supposed to be able to get your dick hard all the time, and if I want it, you better be able to get it hard with that. And so we actually, I think I have several cases where we've had to talk to women like, okay, calm down, like, because that's a lot of pressure. Like if you like, you better get that dick hard for me right now, get over here right now. Like wait, what? That ain't sexy. Like with that. And I think also, and this doesn't happen often, but I've had several cases where some women, not intentionally, but they are kind of so powerful and kind of run the relationship that a man will sometimes feel the only power I have is over my dick, and I ain't giving it to you. You controlling everything else. You're not about to control this with that. And so that is a dynamic. It's not a dynamic I see often, but that's definitely a dynamic out there. And so that's stress in the relationship. And so it simply has to be addressed. And I think all of those women, when I have had those cases, I won't say all of them, but for the most part, 9 out of 10 have been like, oh my God, I didn't realize that what I was doing. Because a lot of times when we get controlling, it's usually out of fear. I need to make sure, I need to, cover this so this doesn't happen. And so just having that awareness usually that, okay, you've been doing the most, like calm down. So, okay. In our last 4 minutes, because we probably all got clients at 10 o'clock. What do y'all want people to take away with? What's the one message you want them to take away with? I'll start with you, Jessica Addison.
I would say I'll say don't make sex a separate forbidden conversation topic. If you're with a partner, you guys can talk about communication, y'all schedule, finances. You guys can communicate about what's going on with our day, our week, our month. Why sex?
Yeah. I think you went out at the last minute. So you said why sex?
Any different.
Right.
Guys talk about shouldn't be something that's forbidden, because when you treat it as forbidden, it becomes more scarier and more avoided.
Yeah. And listen, y'all can start a conversation out with, this is really hard for me to talk about. How do we need to do this? So if y'all need to get on the phone and turn the lights off and you go in that room and I go in this room for us to start the conversation, then that's what we got to do with that. This is so hard, but how are we going to do it? Because we got to have a conversation. Okay, Sherry.
There's something I'm learning in my personal life. There's something that I'm learning with clients is this. I can 100% not like you and still have sex with you. We can be 100% in conflict about chores. We can be 100% in conflict about kids. But wait a minute. That definitely don't mean that sex has to be off limits. And I had to get anxious about it. And I have to feel like, wait, am I giving them too much especially for women, if I'm having sex with them anyway?
Oh.
It's all right. You can still enjoy your sexy time like y'all married. Or in a relationship. You've made a commitment to this person. So even if you're not married, if you committed and you committed, the question then becomes, what do you lose if we mad about chores and cooking and kids? We can have sex and enjoy each other.
Right.
And then go back to arguing about the chores the next
day. I'm going to say that might make the argument go away.
Right. Especially if one partner have a good time. They say, about them chores, baby. I got you in the morning. You know what? In fact, I got you 2 days out of the week.
Right. Oh yeah, I ain't got no problem picking up the kids. No, we good.
Right.
So that's one thing I actually learned in doing therapy is, and I don't like this about men, but and not all of them, but it is a portion of men whose their direct responses to their responsibility is correlated to how much sex they're having with their partner. I don't like that, but it's actually a fact for some men. Not all men are like this, but I mean it can get ugly with that. Okay.
Yep, you're right.
It is. All right. So to end on a positive note, have conversations, y'all. Have the conversations. Stress and anxiety for some people is just a part of their life. And so learning to have those conversations around that so we can still have a good sex life is what we are tasking you with. All right, everybody. Y'all have a great day. Thank you, ladies, so much for showing up. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.